Beauty. No more football?
No, I
You're
think
right.
we might need to do
I
some rugby league.
think we do. But I think I do have a sharper rugby league segment this week. And I'm going to start because the NRL.com, they did, I think they have updated their top 30 and development list. So in the minutia of the salary cap uh, facts and figures and official rules, there is the top 30, then there's the supplementary list, and the supplementary list has now taken over from the development list, but you go to NRL.com signings tracker, is still the development list. So you got two different terms for the same thing, so it's a little bit tricky there. But NRL.com did update a lot of their contracts, and this helped me dive deeper into the Warriors' top 50. And I did a big yarn yesterday, Sunday. So check that out if you want a nice overview of the Warriors' top 50. But I'll start with Kiwi-NRL because there's three lads that I was interested in making the top 30 of their respective teams. First is Ryder Williams with the Titans, who is a young half who is now top 30 for the Gold Coast Titans. He was 17 years old, still at school last summer when he got a training development contract, supplementary list contract with the Gold Coast Titans. Now he's upgraded to a top 30. He's only got a 1-year contract, but he's a Maris Saints junior from Auckland who has had a significant impact with the Gold Coast Titans since moving over there into their system. He played under 19s. I think he played in the halves for Tweed in the Malmaninga Cup championship run for Tweed. They won that final, I believe. He was in the halves. And I'm curious to see if he's going to step up to Queensland Cup next season with the Gold Coast Titans. But it's a very fascinating spot for the Gold Coast Titans because they've got halves coming out the wazoo. Like Kieran Foran's not going to start apparently. Now, keep in mind, the Gold Coast Titans, Tanner Boyd left the Gold Coast Titans to join the Warriors, which was a good signing for the Warriors, I believe, because the Warriors need a solid half with NRL experience, but the Gold Coast Titans have too many options. You got AJ Brimson, you got Jaden Campbell, you got Kieran Foran. Anyone else I'm forgetting, I don't know, but we'll see. Don't think so. But then you've got Ryder Williams coming up in the junior ranks as well. So the Gold Coast Titans already have like a bottleneck of halves in their NRL team, but you've got a young half from Auckland, Ryder Williams, on the rise, and I'm curious to see if he can settle into a starting Queensland Cup role in the Titans system, and then what happens there? Do the Titans re-sign him? Does he earn another contract, or does he move somewhere else? Because the Titans do have a bit of a logjam in the halves position. We've also got Salesi Foketi, who is in the Roosters top 30. He's a forward Manuleleua junior who moved over to the Roosters a few years ago. He's come through their pipeline, and he is the next up dude from Aotearoa in terms of, like, you go Satili Tupanuia, Nofahu White, Siwa Wong, Salesi Foketi. All those dudes are from Aotearoa. All those dudes were Kiwi-NRL juniors in Aotearoa. Tupanuia was at Maris, now he's with the Bulldogs. Nofahu White, Bay Roskell Jr., Siwa Wong. He was down in Christchurch with Burnham. Then he moved up to Auckland. I think he was a Manuleleua junior, but he also went to Mount Albert Grammar School before being recruited by the Roosters. Now you've got now you've got Salesi Foketi, Manuleleua junior coming through. Can play edge, but he can also play middle. Very powerful, mobile forward for the Roosters. Then we also have Francis Manuleleua with the Knights. Papatoetoe Jr., who was initially, he left King's College, and then he moved to the Penrith Panthers, where he played, I think he played 2 years, bit of SG ball, bit of Jersey flag, and now he is in the Knights top 30. And who knows what position he's going to play. He's got a 3-year deal with the Knights top 30 contract. So he's gone from being like a Jersey flag. He started a few games at edge forward, a few games off the bench. He's gone from being under 21s of the Panthers to being top 30 with the Knights. Remember, he was a half in New Zealand. Midfielder for King's College first 15, played in the halves for an under 16 Warriors team. Then he goes to the Panthers, he's an edge forward. Who knows what position he's going to play in the Knights system. He could be an edge forward. He could transition to a very skillful middle forward. He might be a centre. He might even develop as a half because he does have that first 15 kind of playmaking background. So I'm curious to see how Francis Manuleleua winds up this season. I'd expect all three of these dudes to be in reserve grade. Foketi and Manuleleua definitely playing New South Wales Cup. Curious to see what happens with Ryder Williams up at the Titans. 3 hot takes for the Warriors for you. I think Ali Leotawa, Dimitri Vaimonga, and Leka Halasima, they will all be top 17 Warriors this season. I don't know if they'll be top 17 Warriors for round 1, but I think the best Warriors team has all 3 of those dudes in it. Probably Vaimonga and Halasima coming off the bench, probably Leotawa starting centre. I also believe Sam Healy will make his debut. He's the hooker they signed from the Sharks. I think he will make his debut at some point this season, behind Wade Egan and Freddie Lussick. And I also believe Taintua Piki will play at least 10 games this season. Got to make sure he hasn't done that already, because that would be less interesting, you know what I'm saying. Taintua Piki. One half of the Taharoa duo. He's played 5 games in 2023, 6 games in 2024. I think that's going to escalate to 10 games at least this season. I think most of those games are going to be at fullback. Who knows what that means elsewhere? I'm just saying. I think Taintua Piki's got at least 10 games of NRL footy in him this season. One last thing I've done here is, as I said, NRL.com updated their top 30, which means we got 3 bits of information. Options, contract options, club option, player option, mutual option, I believe are the 3 designations. We've also got the amount of players on the supplementary list. And then, of course, Australian media reported on a train and trial list for each team. So I've gone through the NRL.com signings tracker and the train and trial reporting, and I've got how many options, supplementary list players, and train and trial contracts does each NRL club have. The theory, the hypothesis, I guess, was that I was looking at the Warriors and I was like, holy shit, they got a lot of those dudes. But they don't have any options. So the Warriors have 0 options. Eels, obviously, they've got 5 because they've got the Dylan Brown. This only counts as 1 option, but they do have the infamous Dylan Brown player option until 2030, which is a ridiculous contract. Eels have the most options, 5 options. You've got the Raiders have 4. I'll just list the number of options. Broncos 0, Raiders 4, Bulldogs 0, Sharks 1, Dolphins 0, Titans 1, Sea Eagles 1, Storm 4, Knights 2, Cowboys 2, Eels 5, Panthers 0, Dragons 1, Rabbitohs 0, Roosters 0, Warriors 0, Tigers 3. Don't know if it's good or bad, it just is what it is. Then I went through the amount of supplementary players and train and trial players. The Warriors have 7 on their supplementary contract list, and they have 12 train and trial players. That gives them 19 combined, which is the most of any NRL team. 7 supplementary list players is tied with the Bulldogs for the most. 12 train and trial players is tied with the Roosters for the most. I've got a theory that I'm working on where I think that is a significant financial investment from the Warriors. Because you don't have to have 7 supplementary players, nor do you have to have 12 train and trial contracts. You can have less supplementary players, less train and trial contracts, and more part-time reserve grade contracts, for example. Because what happens is you're going to be on a train and trial contract over summer, then you're probably going to drop back down to your junior contract or your part-time reserve grade contract. But the Warriors have the most supplementary and train and trial contracts, which means they're paying all those dudes money to be around the NRL team this summer. I don't think the Warriors are doing anything cheap here. Obviously not, because they're paying more dudes, you know. So I think that's an important wrinkle when we're thinking about Warriors spending money, investing money in developing talent. It's one thing to just like sign young players and have a lot of junior teams, which they've done. They've added more junior teams. But they're also paying, like the only other team paying 12 train and trial contracts is the Roosters. And you all know about the salary sombrero for the Roosters. The Bulldogs have 7 supplementary development contracts, which, oh no, they've probably got a bit of money, but they only have 6 train and trial deals. So the Warriors are fully stocked in both those contract brackets. To me, that reinforces the idea of them being a development club, but it's not just about, like, oh, I think it's far better to have more players training around your NRL squad full time over the summer, but it's more expensive. So you can see how an NRL team that is kind of struggling for financials, they might save money by not spending train and trials, by not spending their supplementary list, but just having a bunch of part-timers on New South Wales Cup who can then step up to higher contracts. So to me, this tells me that the Warriors are spending a lot of money. They're investing a lot of money, but they're investing that money to players to get better. And I think that's an important reinforcement of them being the development club that I reckon they are. Does that stuff make sense?
It does, and I mean that's spending money on players who most, probably potentially all of them, maybe 1 or 2 exceptions, aren't going to play first grade this season. Like those aren't signing guys for that purposes. This is specifically signing guys for future purposes, developing them for down the line, doing that themselves, not trying to pick off players from other clubs, but bringing them into their own system and doing that. That makes perfect sense what you're saying. Those are development club moves.